Many years ago in England, a circus elephant named Bozo, who was very popular with the public, suddenly experienced a change of personality. He began attacking his trainers, and the manager of the circus decided he needed to get rid of the elephant. Now, there was a man who had heard of the troubles with the elephant, and so he approached the manager and said, "Give me 2 minutes in the cage alone with him." The manager said, "Well, you're going to be killed." And he said, "I don't think so. Do I have your permission to step in?" So the door to the cage was unlocked, and the man stepped inside. He stood there, quite still, a faint smile on his face, as he began to speak softly to the animal. He seemed to be speaking some foreign language. And slowly, as the man continued to talk, the elephant raised his head, and then he began to sway his head from side to side. Docile as a pup now, he wound his trunk around the man's waist, and the two walked slowly around the ring. After a while, the man bade farewell to the elephant and left the cage. "He'll be all right now," he told the manager. "You see, he's an Indian elephant, and none of you spoke his language, Hindustani. I would advise you to get someone around here who speaks Hindustani. He was just homesick." Now, I think that feeling of being homesick is something we have all felt at some point in our life. The desire to be around someone who speaks our language, to be with people that get us. It's the root of longing for home. Now let's take a moment and look at another story of someone who is away from home and is also feeling a little more than homesick. This story is found in the Bible in Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. A man had 2 sons. When the younger told his father, "I want my share of your estate now, instead of waiting until you die," his father agreed to divide his wealth between his 2 sons. A few days later, this younger son packed all of his belongings and took a trip to a distant land, and there he wasted all of his money on parties and prostitutes. About the time that his money was gone, a great famine swept across the land, and he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him to feed the pigs. Now, the man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the swine looked good to him, and no one gave him anything. When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, "At home, even the hired men have food enough and to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired man.' So he returned home to his father." Now let's pause that story for just a moment. You may recognize that story as that of the lost son, or as it has come to be known, the prodigal son. Prodigal describes someone as spending money or resources recklessly, or as I like to say, unemployed teenager. Listen to that last line again. He returned home to his father. What is it about going home? What is it deep down inside of each one of us that longs for that place called home? Is it the feeling of safety, security, love? Is it the hope that we will be welcomed, forgiven, taken care of despite our stupid choices? Do we go home because we have unfinished business? Do we make that journey out of habit, out of obligation, out of necessity, or out of love? Poet Maya Angelou wrote, "The ache for home lives in all of us, the safe place where we can go as we are and not be questioned." Now let's go back and to the second half of the prodigal son story and see how this plays out. So the younger son decided to go home to his father, and when he appears, his father runs to him, making quite a scene. The father hugs his son and yells for the servants to bring robes and put on him and bring expensive rings. He calls for a huge feast and a celebration in honor of the return of his long-lost son. Now, in the meantime, the older son was out in the field working hard. And when he heard that party music, he got angry and jealous, and he refused to even go to the party at all. He complained to his dad he was the one working hard, and his father had never thrown him any sort of celebration. It didn't make any sense that the brother that blew all of the money still got rewarded. The father explained to his son, "Look, dear son, you and I are very close. And everything I have is yours. But it is right to celebrate. For he is your brother, and he was dead, and he's come back to life. He was lost and is found." Now that's a nice story. And it's filled with opportunities for discussion and debate, appreciation and confusion. I have to admit that the first time I heard this story in Sunday school, I thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard. I immediately took the older brother's perspective, and I got really angry at a father who would just take his older son for granted and then celebrate the return of his idiot younger son and throw him a party. What kind of story in the Bible is this? I wouldn't have gone to that party either if I had been that older brother. And then I became a parent. I suffered those terrifying moments of having, for a moment, misplaced my child, who was, in one case, asleep on the floor of his closet while we had a search party going in the neighborhood. And in the other case, who was playing in a brand new spot at the neighbor's house. There is nothing like that feeling of losing and then finding your child. When my oldest son first moved out on his own and then came back for his first visit, I completely understood the dad scene with the feast and the robe and the ring. I would have thrown a party for him just because he came back. I get that the money lost doesn't matter as much as the son being found safe. Also, I think if we are honest, we can recognize that we have each had those prodigal child moments in our own lives, times when we have lost our way, or we've been stupid with our money, or our associations, or our skills, or our time. We have all needed to get home to get squared away and remember who we are. We have all hoped that somehow all could be forgiven. So right now we're getting ready to enter that time of year when, for many of us, our minds turn toward home. We want to go home for the holidays, or we will be the home that they come to for the holidays. We think about the place and we think about the people. We want to recapture the feelings and the warmth of home. We rejoin distant and widespread members of our family. We chalk up the end of the college semester together and we marvel at taller children. We drag out dusty board games and we cautiously dare to sit and talk. We sleep in awkward beds and we reminisce about childhood memories. More than any other time of the year, we gather family members together at Thanksgiving and at Christmas, and we tell family stories. It's an important ritual. It's a significant bonding time. Sadly, for many reasons, some of us don't have that physical home to return to. It's gone, or the people are gone, or it was never there to begin with. And that's when the holiday season gets tough and lonely. That's when we need to find the spirit of home and embrace it. Cecilia Ahern wrote, "Home isn't a place, it's a feeling." So perhaps we strive a little harder to find the feelings of home and wrap those feelings around us. We take care of our need for home by finding people or activities or hobbies or careers that feed us and center us and give us that feeling of home within ourselves. So now we get to the point. What does the story of the prodigal son have to do with us in our homes and this holiday season? Well, here's a kind of corny but radical idea. Perhaps when we get together with our people this holiday season, we could try something. We could take time to see each person as a prodigal child returning home. Let's be truly excited to see them. Let's jump up and welcome our visitors with hugs and smiles. No matter what has happened, let's focus on their presence and forgive past difficulties. Perhaps this visitor is a person who was once lost to us and is now found. On so many levels, that's a possibility. All we each need in this life is to know that our lives matter. Let's do our part to provide that response, to show others that their lives matter. All we need to know is that we have a place in this world. We need to know we are worthy. We are worthy of forgiveness. We are worthy of attention. We are worthy of celebration and welcoming hugs and a large feast. Are you willing to try that with me? Poet Robert Frost wrote, "Home is the place that when you have to go there, they have to take you in." So if they come to our home this holiday season, let's take them in. And as we do so, let's welcome home each prodigal son and daughter with open arms. Sarah Dessen writes, "Home wasn't a set house or a single town on a map. It was wherever the people who loved you were, whenever you were together. Not a place, but a moment, and then another, building on each other like bricks to create a solid shelter that you take with you for your entire life, wherever you may go." We are gathering homes then as we progress through life, one loving moment after another. And here at Entry Point, we have a home. Let's also make sure that we do what we can to keep our home fires burning here as well. Welcome home, prodigal children. Welcome home. Have a great Sunday. Peace.